Hey there, kiddos, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Uncle Frank, and that you are having a great day. And in today's video, I'm going to be sitting back in my kind of squeaky chair, relaxing and having a little conversation with all of you guys about investing and new TCGs and investing in new TCGs. You see, a lot of the time, especially more and more often lately, I've been seeing people online, here on YouTube and elsewhere on the internet, approaching new card games purely with the intention of figuring out whether or not they are a good investment. They'll ask questions like, oh, is this a good game to hold on to for a few years? Is there any value in the base set? Is there any collectability to it whatsoever? And I believe, in my opinion, that is a poor way to approach new card games. You see, in my opinion, new card games should be looked at through the lens of both playability and sustainability. Are the core rules fun? The core mechanics, the basic card types and effects that you can expect to run into in the game. Is it easy for new players to pick up the game? Does it look like there's a lot of cool stuff in the pipeline after the first set or so? Does it look like the company that's producing the game has a pretty good head on their shoulders? Overall, does the game look like it is well made? Does it look like it has a sustainable player base? Does it look like it's going to stick around after that first 2-year wall, which I've talked about so much on the channel that it feels like I'm a broken record whenever I bring it up. You see, not a lot of card games survive past the first 2 to 3 years of their existence. In fact, for every successful card game out there, for every Magic the Gathering or Pokemon or One Piece, there are dozens of dead card games, out of print games that have fallen by the wayside that looked really promising at the start and then completely fell to the roadside. And in my opinion, too many people today approach new card games with the wrong mindset. Insofar as I'm concerned, there's only really 2 reasons you should be investing in a card game. And when you see a new card game, these 2 reasons really should be taken into consideration. Or at the very least, they are the things that I consider most strongly when asking myself whether or not a new card game is something I'd be interested in buying. All right? The first question is this something that I have faith in? Is this a card game that either looks, for some reason, some nebulous reason, is it fun? Are there a lot of players in the local community that I could maybe bomb a deck from? And enjoy the tournament scene with? Does the core game itself look like it has a lot of mechanical opportunity? Or does this feature a franchise that I'm a big fan of? You know, the Cyberpunk TCG is almost here. I think it's coming out next month. And of course, I bought some of that because I'm a fairly decent fan of the Cyberpunk franchise. I like enough of it. So, in my experience, in my opinion, I should say, whether or not you like the game itself for whatever reason, whether it's because the mechanics scream out to you or just because it's from a franchise you like, that's a fine enough reason on its own. And the reason I think you enjoying the product, you having faith in the product is important is because if it fails, if the boxes do not quadruple in price within 10 years' time, or if the card game dies before that 2-year wall approaches, or if it never really takes off after the first few sets at all, if things don't work out and you have invested your money into this game, you should still be stuck with a product that you enjoy. If you end up being the end consumer, if you end up being the person who cracks open those boxes and gets to flick through the packs, you should at the very least be stuck with something you enjoy, something you like, for whatever reason, whether it's for gameplay reasons or for collectability reasons. Okay. The second thing I think should be heavily considered is whether or not this is something that looks like it is established, which means for the most part, new card games can't qualify. That's part of the definition, in fact, of established. People can very loud bike. Okay. People can say whatever they want about new card games that have just hit the market. Oh, this is going to be here forever. Oh, this is perfect. The company's never going to screw up. It's going to last forever. And we've heard that time and time again. There's dozens of examples of card games out there that people are super hyped about, super obsessed with even. People who have gone out of the way to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on meta zoo-like games. And in the end, they all become effectively worthless over time. And, you know, this established pattern is important, I think, because if this game is not something that you personally want for whatever reason, you have to have an end customer. And you're not going to have an end customer if you're not dealing with a game that is established. And no, I'm not saying that, you know, there's no reason whatsoever to pick up the new game on the block, but that's not something you're investing in. If you're picking up a new hot game to flip it, that's not investing. That's just flipping. You know, if you picked up Lorcana, first chapter, when it was super hot, and you sold it right away for a small tidy profit, well, you weren't investing in it. You were buying it to flip it, and that's totally different. If you were, however, buying the first chapter because you like Disney, you like Mickey Mouse or whatever, or you like Ravensburger, and you told yourself, this looks like a fun game, these look like good mechanics, I'm going to squirrel some of this away for the long term, well, that's investing in something that you had faith in. Now, if you go back now and look at Lorcana, well, it's survived, it's established, the IP is stronger than it's ever been, so it looks like something that I think is going to stick around, and if you have any interest whatsoever in investing in it, there's some cool stuff out there to invest in. But let me just say, for every Lorcana, there's a Star Wars Unlimited. For every Gundam, for every One Piece, there's a Chronicles of Arcane, or even better, I can't get Akora with its fucking acrylic box. I actually can't hear. Watch this. It doesn't want to come out. You know, for every success, there are going to be loads of failures that just end up being $15 a box. You know, absolute paperweights that nobody really wants all that much. See, that's the thing about the TCG market is making a new card game is not very hard for a lot of people. It's very easy, in fact, to pump out TCGs in this day and age. And it's even easier, I think, to get a bunch of people online hyped about the new Super Monster Wars card game that you just created that has super serialized cards and artist signatures and one-of-ones that you can only get in the mega collector boosters. It's very easy to drum up hype. But is it sustainable? Is it long-lasting? Does it have an existing fan base? Is the game itself good enough to stick around after that first wave of players leaves? When the 2-year mark comes and the average player has already moved on to something else, is your game going to be good enough on its own to keep going? And I think that that's an important question to answer. So, you know, obviously it's a case-by-case basis. You have to look at every single card game on the market, every new card game, I should say, that comes out, and ask yourself, is this something that I have faith in? And if it isn't, there's absolutely nothing wrong with waiting a bit just to see if it does look like something that's going to get an established player base. And sometimes it can look like no for a long time. Sometimes it can look like yes for a long time. You never know what the future holds, but the more secure a game seems, the less likely it is, I should say, to completely fall apart if there's a growing number of players and the company behind it has solid heads on their shoulders and the collectability looks up. Those first edition cards are rising in price a year or two later. Well, well, then it's something that's worth considering. Stronger than it was in the first place, I should say. For the most part, when people ask me, hey, Uncle Frank, I don't know, Pal World. Let's use Pal World. Is Pal World something that you would invest in? No. It's brand new. It's a game from an IP I don't care too much about. Sure, its first set's done amazing, but we've seen that before. We see that all the time, in fact. Will it continue to do amazing, or will it die off after 2 or 3 sets? Who's to say? I can't possibly predict the future. That's not what I'm here to do. But I will say that I have seen enough successes and enough failures and have done the math to tell you that at this point, it's not something I'm interested in. It's not a game that has a lot of appeal to me. I give it a try, and the more I've played it, the less interested I am in it. I know I talked about how cool the gameplay is, but I've been playing more and more games, and it's just appealed to me a little less each time. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that compared to all the other stuff that I've been trying out here lately, it was not as amazing as I initially thought it was. It's still pretty fun, though. Just not amazing. So, at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is, be cautious, be smart, and maybe don't buy into hype. And you can say, oh, but the opportunity, if I buy it now, it's the cheapest it's ever going to be. If that's their reasoning, if that's their sole reasoning you have towards wanting to invest in a product, go nuts. If you think that the floor price now is as low as it's going to go, well, that tells me that you have some sort of faith in the game. Whether it's for collectability's sake or gameplay's sake, or maybe you just believe the hype. Go for it. And in 2 years, we'll see whether you were right or wrong. I've been right several times. I've been wrong way more times. The fact of the matter is, I'm not really willing to gamble on the success of a new game, especially when it's my money on the line. I'll happily gamble your guys' money. That's an awful thing to say. I'll happily gamble someone else's money. If you're telling me that you'll give me $5,000 to pump into whatever new card game, sure, whatever, I'll take that risk. But at the end of the day, like in all seriousness, the sheer volume of new projects, card games, whatever that hit the market basically every month leaves a lot open to failure in the long term. Because while it would be nice to live in this magical fantasy world where every new card game, Neopets, Young Jedi, the Bleach card game, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Ophidian, all of them, every card game ever, as fun as it would be to live in a world where everything succeeds and everything stands the test of time, and the TCG market is as diverse as possible, that's not the world we live in. We live in a world where there are winners and there are losers. And sometimes the funnest card game ever is a loser for whatever reason. And sometimes some of the worst card games ever can stick around for much longer than you'd think, all things considered. It's just the way of the world. Okay? And I think at the end of the day, as long as you're being careful, as long as you're being smart, and you're approaching with the mentality of, is this something that I have faith in? Or it's something that I personally believe is well established and has a future ahead of it, well, then go nuts. Invest whatever the hell you want. I can't tell you no. But, as always, I just always urge caution. Because at the end of the day, whether you are ripping open packs or hoping that a set 10x's in 2 years, way too many people approach this hobby, this market, with a gambling mindset, hoping against hope that things will just magically work out. They don't have a game plan. They don't have an exit plan. People will buy up boxes and ETBs and fill entire storage units full of them, and then they won't have any idea how to get rid of it. Oh boy, is that that's a conversation for another day. Basically, be smart with your money. Be smart with where you spend your money and where you park it. And don't always buy into hype. That's all I got for you kiddos today. Whether you agree with me or disagree with me, let me know in the comments section below. And as always, please like, share, subscribe. Check out the Discord, Patreon, TCG Player, and eBay stores. Links are all in the description below. That's all I got for you kiddos. Ciao.